Hello everyone, I am Mia and welcome back to English Rose Cottage. It's a quiet wintry day here at home and I thought I'd bring you along for a slow and simple day. These days are my favourite with nothing special planned, just keeping warm and baking and tidying and moving through the rhythms of home. Sometimes, especially in the colder months, homekeeping can feel repetitive. There's the laundry and the dishes and tidying up meals, but I've been reminding myself lately that there's so much beauty in these small things. They might not seem like much, but they do build a home and they nurture our families and they bring a sense of peace. So let's just get started with the day. I'll chat as I go and we'll just settle into the coziness of home. I've been really enjoying baking bread lately. It's something I always wanted to do but put off for the longest time because I thought it would be too much effort. But once I actually started, I realised how simple it can be. It's just flour, water, salt and yeast and a little patience. So today I'm going to be taking you through making 4 big loaves of bread. I think there's something really grounding about making bread, and I think it's because it kind of slows you down and you can't rush the process. There's waiting involved and teaches you to embrace that slowness. The children love it too and they always want to help, even if it's just stirring the flour in a bowl or watching as I knead. And I think that's such a lovely thing about homemaking. It's not just about running a home, it's about creating an atmosphere where your family is a part of it. I used to think that nourishing my family well meant complicated, fancy meals, but I've learnt that simple, wholesome food is just as meaningful. A warm loaf of bread, a hearty soup and a nice cosy breakfast, something made with love. These are the things that make a house feel like home. I've been really enjoying having a slow morning with the children before we start homeschooling with my daughter. I've been putting out a big breakfast, a fresh loaf of bread, some fruit and a pot of tea, and we've just been taking our sweet time at the breakfast table, reading the Bible and chatting and just trying to enjoy those precious moments. I think that's one of the joys about homeschooling. We can take our time in the morning, we're not rushed out anywhere. But they've been really precious and I've been trying to savour them as much as possible. So here I'm just prepping out my 4 loaves of bread in my gigantic, absolutely wonderful bread bowl. It's been a lifesaver, this bowl, just being able to have 4 loaves going in one bowl and letting it rise to its fullest without having to change to bowls and decant. It's just a dream, but I've decided that I'm going to do 2 loaves this morning and then move on to the other 2 loaves this afternoon. So I'm going to be putting I'm going to be dividing this dough in half and adding it to the banneton baskets and then leaving the rest in a bowl and putting it in the fridge to rise, or just to slow down that rising process for later when I bake the other 2. But for the first two, I'm just going to scrape out the bread from the bowl and divide it up and let it sit in the panettone baskets at the back edge of my oven. I like to put the oven on even if I'm not going to be using it for a good while. It warms up our cold house and it is a great rising spot for the bread. And I'll leave them there for about an hour and a half while the Dutch oven warms in the oven, and then I'll return to it later. Keeping up with the house can feel overwhelming some days, especially when there are little ones under your feet and there's always something that needs to be done. Like there's dishes in the sink, there's always laundry piling up, and there's always crumbs on the floor. But I've realised that small, simple habits make such a difference. I used to think I needed big chunks of time to clean properly, but I've found that just doing little resets throughout the day keeps things manageable. So for example, after breakfast I try and clear the kitchen so that it's ready for the next meal. And I also try to do one load of laundry a day so it doesn't pile up. And I keep a basket on the stairs for things that need to go up so I'm not constantly running back and forth. These small things don't take that long, but they do add up over the course of the day. And I think that's the key, that homemaking isn't about perfection. It's about creating a home that works for your family in whatever season you are in. When we were first married, most of our furniture was given to us for free, or they were hand-me-downs or second-hand finds, and whatever we could make work, really. It was such a blessing at the time, but as the years have gone by, we've been slowly switching things out for pieces that we truly love and we save up for a little bit. But one thing I've learned is that you don't need to replace everything all at once. Small things and small changes do make a big difference. Like this armchair, for example, is something we got for free a good few years ago now, and it's so worn down, which is perfect for having little children in the lounge all the time. So I don't mind it getting dirty, but I do like to try and layer this little armchair to make it feel a little bit more special, like layering striped and floral patterns. I just feel like it adds some depth without making it feel overwhelming. I really enjoy textured blankets, and it sort of instantly makes a space feel warmer and more lived in. I try to enjoy mixing old and new pieces, just to keep a home feeling collected over time rather than looking like it was all bought in one go and like it's all supposed to match. It's been such a fun process to slowly make our home feel more us, more curated and cosy and full of things we genuinely love. Our tea cupboard is one of those spaces that always seems to be in a state of organised chaos. Being British, we drink a whole lot of tea. I always have, and now the children love it too. So naturally we have quite the collection of different teas, but keeping this cupboard tidy is a constant challenge, especially since we don't have the extra storage space to tuck away big bags of tea. Everything has to live right here. One thing that I think might help is using glass jars for our everyday teas, keeping them within easy reach while storing the bulk bags behind them. I think it looks tidier and makes it easier to grab what we need without rummaging through a pile of half-opened boxes. But honestly, no matter how well I organise it, that cupboard always seems to get messy again, probably because we're in and out of it all day. So I've just accepted that a quick tidy up once a week is a part of the rhythm, and that's okay. Tea is such a simple joy in our home, and I'd rather have a slightly chaotic tea cupboard than not enough tea to go around. I have to talk about our butter dish because it's one of those little things that just makes life easier. It's a butter bell, which means you pack the butter into the lid and the base holds a bit of water to create an airtight seal. And this just keeps the butter soft and fresh without needing to be refrigerated. It's such a simple concept, but it works so well. It means that there's no more struggling with hard butter when you just want to spread it on warm toast, especially because we try and avoid the spreadable butters because they're just full of so much processed rubbish. But I love that it sits out on the counter, it's always ready to use, and it just looks nice too. If you've never tried one, I'll leave a link in the description for this one. It's been a small but worthwhile swap in our kitchen. It's getting to that point in the year. We're moving a few months into the year now, and it always feels like a bit of a reset. I didn't really do big resolutions this year, and I don't normally, but I do like to take some time to reflect on what's working and what I want to be more intentional about. One thing I'm focusing on this year is being more present. I think it's easy to get caught up in the to-do lists and the feelings that things are so urgent, and forget to actually enjoy those small moments. A Bible verse I've been thinking about a lot is Colossians 3 verse 23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord and not for human masters. It's such a good reminder that the small everyday work we do, whether it's cooking or cleaning or raising children, that it all has meaning. Even when it feels mundane and even when no one sees it, it really does matter. Life with my precious children is so full on. Some days feel like a blur, wiping faces, making meals, changing clothes and breaking up little squabbles. But I have been learning to see the beauty in it, even on the hard days. There's the idea that life with young children is just about surviving, but I don't think that has to be true. Yes, it is exhausting, but it's also such a precious time. And they really do grow so quickly, and these little moments, the laughter and the cuddles and the small ways that they show love are things I'll look back on and I'm sure I'll miss one day. I also used to think that I needed to entertain them all the time, but I've realised they're happiest just being included in whatever I'm doing. Whether it's stirring the dough or helping fold washcloths or setting the table, they love being a part of what I'm doing. And I do like to think that homemaking isn't just about keeping a house in order. It's about making a place where your family feels that love and security. I'm using a bunch of different frozen vegetables. It's definitely not the ideal way to do it, but sometimes convenience wins, and it absolutely does tonight. In a perfect world, I'd have time to chop everything fresh and maybe even use homegrown vegetables. But honestly, if using frozen veg means I can quickly put together a warm meal and open our home to others, then it's absolutely worth it. Hospitality isn't about perfection. It's not about having the best ingredients or making everything from scratch. It's about creating a space where people feel welcome, where there's always something to share, even if it's simple. I think I'm thinking that I'd rather serve an easy, fuss-free meal and have friends around the table than stress over making everything just right and never invite people in. So yes, this soup might not be fancy. It's delicious soup, it's warm, it's nourishing, and most importantly, it means we can sit together, share a meal, and enjoy good company. And in the end, that's what really matters. These days I've been feeling really grateful to live so close to the countryside. Even in winter, when the days are short and the trees are bare, there's still something so peaceful about it. The air feels crisp and still, and the fields rest under a quiet frost, and the slower pace just feels right this time of year. I love the way that the seasons shape daily life. In summer, everything is busy, gardening, the long days outside, there's always things happening. But winter is slower. It's a time for rest and for reflection and for settling into the warmth of home. And there's something really comforting about that rhythm. I just absolutely love it, and knowing that seasons change and each one has its own beauty. Being in the countryside makes it so easy to appreciate the little things, like a walk down the lane, spotting birds in the hedgerows, watching the sky change at sunset. It's a simple life, but it's so rich in its own way. I think that's especially true for children. There's something about being outside that just settles them, even on the coldest days, even on the wet days as well. Getting out for a bit, whether it's running through a field or finding sticks or just getting some fresh air, it makes such a big difference. They sleep better, they play better, and I think it just gives them this sense of freedom that's hard to replicate indoors. And honestly, I also feel the same way. It's so easy to get caught up in the to-do list and staying inside where it's warm, but I always feel better when I step outside. Even if it's just for a few minutes, there's something about nature that resets your mind and gives you perspective and reminds you to slow down. So even in the winter, I'm trying to make sure that we get outside every day, even if it's just for a quick walk or a few moments in the garden. It's one of the best things about living in the countryside. There's always space to breathe. So that's today. Just a simple, slow winter day at home. Nothing extraordinary, just the normal rhythms of life. But I do think that that's what makes homemaking special. It's all in those little things. Let me know in the comments what's something you've been enjoying in your home lately. I'd love to hear. See you there.